Hey everybody, what's up, and welcome to the 359th episode of the Unranked podcast. This is Christian Humes here with Alex Tuna and Tommy drinking a tall boy, Caswell. What do you got there?
High noon, not usually
Mm.
the what is it? Seltzer, hard
Yeah.
seltzer of choice. But this is a pineapple one, and I gotta say, daddy like.
Isn't that the one that that shithead over at what's that Barstool is always slinging, I'm pretty sure. I think
Oh,
that's
really?
his
Great.
thing. Yeah.
No, well, it's not
Hmm.
his. It's not his.
You never
He has
know.
that
Tom,
pizza.
you don't like Barstool?
Barstool Sports?
No, like a bar stool. You don't like bar stools?
Well, I don't actually. If I'm going to be honest,
I don't either. To be honest, I also
they're
do not like bar
uncomfortable.
stools.
I would
Very
rather
uncomfortable.
avoid.
Yes.
What about if it has a back and it's padded?
No, I can't. I don't like a chair, a stool, or high chair or anything where I'm not got my feet firmly on the ground.
Mm.
Mm.
And if I do have something, it needs to be a square
So you're
shape.
good with like a chair at the barber because it's got that like rectangle that comes out for your feet.
Well, I got my feet up, right? Like I'm a little. It's got the chair.
'Cause you're
Oh,
still in
oh,
a-
you mean like the bar that's like
Yeah.
in front? Yeah, but it's a proper chair.
Sure.
Yeah.
But there are bar stools that are basically proper chairs. They're just tall.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you definitely have a good range of quality of something I'm going to enjoy. There's
Yeah.
definitely some stools I'm sure that have been on my lake. This ain't that bad, but I would avoid it if I could. Let me put it that way.
Okay. Tom doesn't like a tall stool or a hard stool.
I don't like a soft stool either.
Let's get into today's Pokemon. All right, Alex. Today's Pokemon is the 359th. It is yet again a non-evolution Pokemon. We're going 3 for 3 here.
Ooh.
I'm going to give you the name. I believe you have seen this before.
Okay.
You may not recall the
Okay.
name. The name is Absol. Absol.
Absol.
You want the
Okay.
type?
Sure.
It's dark.
Ah. Wait, that goes completely contrary to what I was thinking.
What were you thinking?
I mean, I was thinking Absol. I was thinking of just a very fit, sunny
like
Pokemon.
abs, like
abs. Yeah, like abs, and then soul for sun. So
Okay.
I was thinking it was going to be a very fit, shiny,
Like it's
light.
working out. One of those people that work out like in the open
Sunset
gym in Santa Monica.
Yes,
like a flower
yes.
with a 6-pack.
Yes, like a flat, like the sunflower from Plants vs Zombies, but like jacked.
Okay. Well, it's not.
So
a
it's
dark
not.
type.
It's a dark type. So Absol. The only thing
I would also say, I'll also think if you were to go from a design standpoint, if the fact that it's a dark type was like your leading principle, it's going to throw you off what this Pokemon looks like.
So I was right.
No, you weren't. No, what you had in mind, the abs and the sun? No, not
All
close
right.
either.
Why don't you pull it up so you can take a look, Alex? Take a quick peek.
oh,
Absol,
Okay, Christian.
honestly, if there weren't already a dark type evolution, could almost fit right into that.
I have, of course, seen this Pokemon before. It's semi-famous, I think, for you non-diehard Pokemon people. But there's no way I would have ever guessed it from the name.
Sure.
Absolutely not. No fucking way.
There's kind of a lot going on with the design, right? Like that. It's got, first of all, it's got kind of like an emo haircut.
And then a scythe on the other fucking side.
Yeah, and its tail is almost scythe-like, and it's, if you look at the way the feet are and the tail, it almost looks like it should be a water type because the feet look almost like webbed, and that tail almost looks like a fin. Like this weirdly kind of looks like a cross between, like, I don't know, like a couple different Eevee ideas that got thrown together, and then someone made it emo. It's kind of a strange design. There's actually a lot of things going on with it.
It's cool. I'm a big fan. It's simple as well, which I like simplicity. in my pokes. Yeah, no, I think that this is cool. I don't know
where you get this idea that
power-wise.
it's simple.
Design wise, it's
I
relatively
mean, it
simple
literally,
design.
honestly, it kind of looks like a 5-year-old like glued some shit together.
Oh, why?
Because it looks like, because like Chris said, like you have like the scythe on one side, the haircut, like the beard, the
I don't
beard
think
looking
it's a
thing
beard.
at the
It's like
front.
a
I know it's
mane.
not a beard, the beard, but it looks like Santa Claus's beard. Santa Claus's beard in the front, right? And then he's got like these the clawed feet. It looks like a 5-year-old put it together.
It's definitely much more of the Chimera style Pokemon, where there's several elements that went into this Pokemon system.
I don't even.
And it's
This
not
is
like an animal plus a concept mixed together. It's like several different things were kind of tossed into the blender on this one.
So what's incredible is that the name origin isn't going to give you shit. So it may be derived from absolute or absolution. Abu Nai.
Isn't Absol a name of a vodka, or is that Absolute vodka?
That's absolute without the
okay.
E. And it may also be a combination of the Latin prefix ab, away from, and sol, Latin for sun. So away from the sun. Not abs as in abdominal muscles.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the like origin above the name origin on Bulba, where it talks about like the actual design, it's designed on like Chinese mythology.
Sure, but we don't look at that.
I'm not talking about the name. I'm talking about the design.
We don't talk about that.
Because
we don't talk about Oregon.
There wasn't really much more to add to the name, because you're right. The name is very much.
Well, I don't know if I'm right. It just may be. We're not sure.
Well, no, your comment on the name is what I was agreeing with.
I was just reading.
Anyway, let's see what the Pokedex has to say about Absol, because that's where the
which version?
Well, I always like to go with whatever it premieres in. So I'll pick one of the three: Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. Sometimes I'll pick two. So let's just start Ruby. Every time Absol appears before people, it is followed by a disaster, such as an earthquake or tidal wave. As a result, it came to be known as the disaster Pokemon, which is pretty cool. I mean, if you're talking about the time this came out too, early 2000s, peak emo era, peak pop.
Oh yeah,
this was like this is such an emo Pokemon. This is if you had a list of like top 6 emo Pokemon, right? If you had to make emo Pokemon party, this would be in it.
Yeah.
I feel like it has to. It has a cool Mega. I think the Mega is a cool
Mega
design.
Once again, Mega crushing it.
God, Megas were so fucking cool, man.
And here's my question for you.
The like wings are fucking sick on it.
We can all agree.
The Mega is cool.
We can all agree. 3-step evolutions, the best, right? We love them.
Yeah.
We did.
We love them.
Yeah.
If you 2-step or no evolution, just the single version, which are you going for? Because this doesn't have a pre-evolution. It never got a pre-evolution. It never gets an evolution. It's just a single.
Yeah, I mean, it can only get a pre-evolution now that it has a Mega.
True. That's good. That's a good point.
At least as far as I'm aware. I'm not aware of other Pokemon who have Megas that are on like the second stage. They do. Like, I don't even think
that's interesting.
Actually, here's the question. Does Pikachu have a Mega evolution? Because that would be the thing that could bring
dude.
No.
And
the Eevee's never getting a 3rd stage, which I'm like okay with. Like, they all should just get a Mega then. They all should have had a fucking Mega.
Whoa.
You know?
It would be cool.
What's that?
If it was like okay, so it's a Mega evolution and it's like one design. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a single design.
So all of the EVs turn into the same thing when they Mega.
All of the EVs visually turn into the same thing, and it's got like it incorporates all of the different elements somehow. Sure. This is getting convoluted now I'm describing it, but it's a roulette. Every time it evolves into the Mega, it's a random. Maybe it'll be a fire. Maybe it'll be grass. Maybe it'll be. Keep in mind,
your moveset's not going to randomly change, though.
Yeah, but doesn't the typing like boost certain attacks and shit?
It boosts like your and like your defense though is what it all.
It's
right?
just fun from a concept, maybe not from an actual implementation standpoint.
I'm totally on board. I've brought it up many times. The Pokemon Adventures manga has the coolest thing. It has an Eevee called V. It's Red's Eevee at one point. I think Blue ends up with it, and then someone else. I can't remember where. But V is the Eevee that's experimented on it, like Silphco that you save in the game, except in the manga, it, because of the experiments they ran on it, can transform at any point that it wants into Vaporeon, Jolteon, or Flareon, and then back. So you can, like, in the heat of the moment, be like, go to this one, go to that one, go to the other. You could do something like that with the Mega then, with the concept. So, like, each turn, Tom, instead of it being roulette, if you could pick what it is, that would be sick. I would be down for that. And then they could almost do a Z move style thing where you get
don't say the Z word.
You get a fifth slot.
Don't say the Z word.
Or you incorporate one where whatever typing you've changed it to, you do get a move based on that type. That would be the thing that would make it fucking beastly. Oh, that'd be sick. We'll never get anything that cool though. I feel like that's it on Absol. I feel like we've said absolutely everything that needs to be said.
Absolutely. Mega Evolution, sexy. So this is one of those sexy pokes.
Sure.
Just the Mega.
Sure.
Okay. Sure. What's up? What's going on? Alex, we played Halo last night. Where were you?
In bed.
Okay. Doing what?
Doing what? What was I doing in bed?
He was thinking about the fact that
none of your business.
He's thinking about that his favorite character from Avatar: The Way of Water, Pycan, and his nemesis.
Oh my god,
Captain Scoresby are returning for.
I just assumed all those people got wiped out by the way it seemed with the end of that movie.
No,
like
dude.
Tuna in the moment dude, the guy loses the arm and disappears into the water, Tuna turns to me, he's like, he's coming back.
So that means that scientist then lived too, right? I'm assuming the one that was on the boat, the character that
he could have
the
done,
humans,
yeah.
Right?
Maybe.
I like how all the scientists are like the good guys at Avatar.
Yeah, but that guy's a piece of shit too. Fucking Jermaine Clement.
They tried to make him redeeming. They tried to give him some redeeming qualities that you maybe eventually he'll be like, oh, I've seen the error of my ways, dude, and I really, I want to become you.
There's always that. It's not a James Cameron movie if it doesn't have a scientist that's, willing to, get his hands dirty for science. So we saw Avatar. Tuna saw Avatar in the way it was meant to be seen, Dolby 3D on Saturday.
Hell yeah.
I did see it. It was great. I liked it.
Before we talk about the movie,
too long.
That's fair. That's a totally fair criticism.
Before we talk about the movie, so I bought tickets that I'm never gonna buy again. I got the front row of the back half of this Dolby Theater.
Oh, okay.
And the tip of the disabled seats.
No. The disabled seats.
Oh. The disabled seats in the middle, because the walkway between the two halves where the disabled seats are, and no one was sitting in them, so they weren't reclined. So when we were reclined, the tip of them were just there. Although I will say it sold the 3D a little bit more, because sometimes things would come and I was like, my mind was like, that should be coming over the seat. That's weird. There was one guy though who was sitting in one of them, and I was like, oh no, this is going to be 3 hours of this, because he was sitting forward, leaning forward, and it was the trailers. And Tuna turns to me, he's like, who sits like that in a movie theater? I was like, Tuna, I can't do this for the next 3 hours. All right, I'm going to need you to suck it up. However he's sitting.
Wait,
we considered going up. We reclining
did.
them, but the best was when
I was about to ask, because I would have done that personally.
Let Tom tell this.
Chris, have you been to Dolby before?
He's by the way,
I pretty much always go to the Dolby.
Okay,
all right. The guy is sitting at the edge of his seat. Okay, it hasn't started yet. This is why I was getting pissed, because you can see the top of his head. I will say
forward.
I will say it was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
I will say it was so bad, not him, but the fact that the seats were not reclined, but they were in a position that when we reclined, they were at the bottom of the screen. It was so bad that in some instances you could not read the subtitles.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't just move those seats back.
But it made me realize that the subtitles were not always like aligned in the same space, because
they were not.
They were above the space.
Yeah.
Sometimes anyway, so this guy is sitting forward, and Chris, if you've been to Dolby, you know they have the demo like explaining what Dolby is, and it has before this was black, and then it cuts the screen in half, and it's like, now this is black. The shing sound effect cutting the screen in half, the dude almost like fell out of his seat. It was
he jolted.
He jumped. A Tuna burst out.
I'm laughing because I'm thinking, oh, this movie, this guy is going to be a character.
It's funny because they had no reactions to any of the other jumps. There aren't jump scares, but there are moments where things like pop out and stuff that people get a little tense up at. But no reactions from the rest of the movie. And thankfully he sat back for most of it. But man, that was so fun. That was the highlight of my third viewing of this fucking film.
I gotta go see it again. Murphy hasn't seen it yet, so I'm gonna try and go with him.
Oh,
yeah, I gotta see it one more time. I did see a movie though. The antibiotics worked. I'm finally better. So I got to go see Megan, which I'm very excited about.
Megan.
It was so fucking good, man. I loved it. It's so funny. It's really funny. It's not really scary. There's like maybe a couple jump scares.
Right.
It's really, really, really good. I enjoyed it so much. It's exactly the movie that you think it's going to be. So like, if you're like AI, killer robot kind of Chucky, that's exactly what it is. Except honestly, it does Chucky a little bit better than Chucky does. Because Chucky, like when you go back to it now, you're like, oh, this guy's like a weird criminal, and there's voodoo, and he's like a weird. It's like, it's very strange. Whereas
I've never seen it. I've never seen any of the Chuckies.
Oh, Chucky's good. Chucky's really good. Scarier than this, I think. Although I haven't watched it in so long now that I might just find that funny as well. I did just realize, because it's PG-13, that I just found out there's a bloodier version that's going to come out, but I think that's just going to be like to homes, probably not in theaters. So I'm actually kind of excited.
Yeah,
about
apparently
that.
It came very close to getting an R rating or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's there were like, when it ended, I'm like, oh, we are 100% getting a sequel to this, which they just announced. There's like, they set up
Megan 2.0 or something like that. I think it's
two different sequels basically in this
movie.
I'm like, we're getting Megan 2, Megan 3, I think, coming here. But it's great. I really think it's good. And I got to tell you, like, it's not a movie you have to see in theaters, but I love going to see movies in theaters because my man James Cameron out there talking about this. You're not on your phones. You're not looking at TikTok. You're like, I'm going to sit down and watch this thing for 2 hours, and I'm going to pay attention to the movie, and I'm just going to enjoy the movie and the show. And that's all I'm going to do. And it is so much better because even when I'm at home and like paying attention to stuff, there is that like compelling, like, just you don't even realize you're doing it sometimes to pick up your phone unless I'm like super engaged in the thing I'm watching. And when I go to the movies, that doesn't happen. And I enjoy it so much more than like things that I enjoy at home.
I know. Look, in our lifetimes, I think the movie theater at some point will disappear. At least on a mass scale for sure. There'll still be like boutique showings and stuff, but we're not going to have tentpole releases coming to theaters. I hope there will be. But I really hope that this experience goes for as long as possible.
I think if you live in cities, you'll always have access to theaters. It'll be kind of...
For me, the theater is a double-edged sword. Yes, I do like the fact that the person I'm with is not on their phone the whole fucking time.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, I did have to keep my phone kind of on because somebody wanted to check.
Tuna was checking.
I had to check it because of just in case there was an emergency. I was told I had to check it. Anyway, but the other part that I don't like about being in theaters is if it's a packed theater, or for some reason I'm sitting next to someone who is incredibly annoying. That will ruin the experience for me.
Sure.
And it is a roll of the dice on that. Sometimes it's honestly, I go to movies so infrequently, it's not a big deal. But like I remember, was it? Yeah. Brittany and I went to, or did I just go see Infinity War by myself? Something happened, and some kid was talking the entire time, and I was like,
"Yeah, no,
this
no
sucks. Like
this
really sucks.
This movie isn't made for you, child."
Well, it was like, I don't care if you're talking, but it was like it was loud. It was like, if you want to talk, if you want to whisper something, fine. But like, if I'm 4 seats over and I can hear you,
yeah.
He's checking his phone right now. That's the best thing about that's the best thing about Dolby. It's so loud.
It's so fucking loud.
It's so loud. And Tuna turns to me in the beginning. He's like, "Bit loud, this."
Yeah, I honestly, I bought Therese some of those like concert goer like earplugs where like they have holes in them, so like all the sound still comes through, but it like kind of dampens the noise a little bit. Because the last 2 times we went to Dolby, she was doing this like during a couple of scenes. She was like, "It's too fucking loud." Maverick and Dolby,
nice.
dude, was nuts.
It was very nice to be in the theater where the sound was, I'm going to use the word equalized, but that's definitely not right. But when I'm home, right, when you're home on the TV, we just have the TV sound. In so many instances,
I thought you had the Sonos Arc.
No,
I think you have that. Maybe that's Tom.
No. So
I use a HomePod for
depending on the movie.
The Sonos sound bars.
Oh. Who gives a shit?
I think I talked to you at some point about maybe.
Well, Alex, the reason I asked is because it helps significantly because they have a feature on it that prioritizes dialogue and boosts it. So like it definitely, I still like, depending on the thing I'm watching, have that issue at home, but it actually made a noticeable difference. So that's why I'm asking.
Okay, but
confused.
Most people, you're right, but I lost it.
It's all about sound at home.
Oh, right. So yeah. So in many cases, when you're watching a movie, the music is really loud and the dialogue is really low, and it's just like, what the fuck? Like, I just want like, and then you know what's so funny?
Oh my god, the trailer for the trailer for Oppenheimer came on before the movie.
Oh my god.
And the sound master on that, like every fucking Christopher Nolan movie, is like, you can't hear a fucking word anyone is saying, and the music is like the loudest thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this motherfucker hasn't learned his lesson.
No, that atom bomb explosion is going to destroy speakers.
Yeah. So we also, the trailers were funny too, just because the Mario trailer comes on and I look at Tom and I'm like, God damn, like, dude, like every voice is pretty good except for Mario.
Yeah.
Mario makes no sense. He makes no
let's
sense.
Go.
He's just let's go. What the fuck? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You literally just said let's go as Chris Pratt. Are you fucking joking? It's so bad. What was the other trailer that we saw that was really bad? It wasn't Quantumania. It was
oh, thank God they played the newest Quantumania trailer, because the first trailer is bad. But this newest one that they released that shows a little.
I actively avoid them because trailers show way too much. Like, I'm honestly,
this newest one like shows a lot.
If I could just see a movie poster at this point, for like a Marvel or Star Wars project, and never see it. Like the Mandalorian trailer's out, I'm not watching. Like,
I haven't watched it.
There's no incentive
especially
to watch.
It's coming in like a month. Yeah,
I'm not. I don't watch trailers. Period.
Yeah,
I do not watch trailers. I don't watch promos. Like at the end of a certain episode of a TV show, they're like, next time, like, no, turn this off, because there's so many instances where they show you what is going to happen, and you can deduce from what they've shown you. Like if it's an elimination kind of game, like who's still in it. It's like, are you fucking serious? Like
Circle was very bad with that in the first.
The Bachelor's the worst with it. The Bachelor is the worst. It ends on a cliffhanger sometimes, and then the promo shows you what the fuck happened.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay.
Well, the Circle did that in the first 2 seasons where they'd be like, next time on the Circle, like next week. And you'd see everyone that's still in the game, like in all the upcoming shots. And you're like, well, I guess I know who's eliminated. Like they'd be like, you'd see the like Circle chat was up and it showed all the remaining players. And I'm like, well, no, thank you. Which, by the way, I watched the Circle last night. Great finale.
Man. Great finale.
I am not caught up, and I am not. We are still like halfway through like the last episode from the last batch.
Oh well, that's good though. You get to just go right through as you catch up.
Yeah, just good season.
Great, I think great season compared to last year.
Sure.
Last spring. Sure, but yeah, was that the one with the? I feel like I liked that season until the Spice Girls left, and then I was kind of like, I didn't like it anymore. Was that season?
I think it was.
That was the last season. The Spice Girls one was the last season before.
Yeah, I liked that season until they left, and then I just wasn't into it anymore. It like didn't. But this season was banging on. I thought banging on all cylinders till the end.
Speaking of the Circle,
okay,
boys,
you're on. You got the call back.
No,
you got the call back, baby.
Boys,
Christian Hume Circle season 6 or 7. Here we come.
There, I could never.
What do you mean you could never? You could do it.
I just honestly, this day and age, I wouldn't want to be on TV.
Yeah, I feel that.
I agree. 100%.
I wouldn't. It's part of the reason why, like, I've thought about, like, oh, I'd love to apply for Survivor, and I'm like, actually, I would love to play Survivor if it wasn't a TV show.
Wait,
if I could go do Survivor and no one knew it, I would love that.
Before you say your thing about the Circle, because what we just said reminded me of something. We watched the hatchet wielding hitchhiker on Netflix. It's like a quick documentary about the guy that was a homeless hitchhiker that had a hatchet that like apparently was a hero, saved some woman, and then he was on Jimmy Kimmel, and then he turned out to be a murderer. He murdered some guy like 3 months later, and now he's in jail. Anyway, the documentary is on Netflix. My point is that in the documentary they talk about how the hitchhiker, he was so famous, he was so viral in 2013 that everybody wanted a piece of him. And they were going to offer him a reality show about like being homeless and all this stuff. And one of the quotes was like, who wouldn't want a reality show? Who wouldn't say yes to that? I'm like, literally, probably a lot of people today don't want a reality show. I do not want to be on TV. Do not, like, even if I went viral, it's mostly because of
social media.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. So the Circle.
The Circle is one part of a multi-part arc that is leading to Netflix's Endgame Perfect Match, which they just announced.
Oh, right,
with you guys.
Netflix's Endgame.
Listen, I know we talk about sometimes the Circle in Discord. I know our listeners watch a lot of this garbage as well.
Yeah.
Netflix has announced what is their Avengers Infinity War. They have basically over the last few years made one garbage fucking show after another. They're shoveling down our throats, and I just eat it up like it's fucking dessert every time. I love it. I don't care how bad it is. It is the most empty calorie garbage, but Perfect Match is combining characters. I call them. Therese and I talk about these people like they're characters.
Are though.
They're not real. They're not real humans.
No,
they're not real people. I'm so excited. I mean, it's got people from the Circle. It's got the winner. It's got people from the Mole. It's got people from Love is Blind, which are like some of the most unhinged motherfuckers I've ever seen in my life. And the other show on Netflix that I've never watched, Too Hot to Handle, which have you watched Too Hot to Handle?
That's the one with the island where they can't fuck.
So this is the one that had Chloe.
Yeah,
from
she
the
was
Circle.
originally on that.
She was on Too Hot to Handle. So I started it last night with
Therese
because I was like, well, we got to catch up. It's like the Avengers is coming out. And I haven't seen. It's like I've skipped all the Captain Americas.
Stop.
It's like Avengers Infinity War is coming out, but I missed all the Captain Americas. I got to know who these people are. I got to know because when I watch this show, it's going to be. First of all, my first thought is they're putting all these people on an island, right? And it's some kind of weird dating competition show. What the hell is the difference between this and Too Hot to Handle? It's already like a little confusing.
There is.
Let me tell you,
Blind or whatever. Yeah.
Having watched the first episode of Too Hot to Handle, I still do not know how that game show works, because there is a pot of money that can be won.
Right.
From what I understand, they will lose money, these people, if they like hook up or if they kiss or do it. They'll lose money. You can't even jerk it. any kind of self-gratification.
Sure.
Or
How are they going to know? I go to the bathroom.
They got cameras everywhere.
In the bathroom?
I don't know, man. That's what they're saying. That's all I know. It's confounding. The episode ended and I said, I don't know how this show works still. All I know is they put all of these people together who, as they introduce them, it's like one psychopath after another. The way that like they're just immediately talking about like fucking each other and like who's the hottest.
It was I can't.
So crazy, Tom.
The outside of the circle, I can't watch any of the Netflix reality shows.
The Mole, you watched The Mole?
I didn't get it. I still haven't gotten around to.
Oh well, you would love it. It's great.
Season. I know that one I can watch, obviously, because it's not. But any of the dating ones, like I've watched it, and I'm like, no, these people. I don't know if this is like how these people really are, but it doesn't matter. However they are portrayed is so far from like what I can even conceive as a real person that I can't engage with.
That's what's so crazy to me is every time I'm watching it and I'm like, well, it's going to be a bunch of crazy people. And then they do or say something that I never could have predicted. Like the thing that's about to come out of their mouth or the action they're about to fucking take. Yeah. I mean, Love is Blind was so insane this last season that I had to stop, and then we came back to it.
Love is Blind
Can you spoil a little bit of it? Because I've heard people say how crazy it is, but like I'm like, well, what could it possibly be?
Well,
it's like one thing that is like insane.
Right. Yeah, we should tell him about Andrew, Alex.
Go for it.
So in Love is Blind, Tom,
yeah, that's pretty bad.
In Love is, I mean, to me, it was the craziest thing I've ever seen on television.
Hey, all right.
In Love is Blind.
Spoilers for the latest season of The Love is Blind.
They're put into these pods.
I need to hear it.
And they talk to like all the guys talking to girls.
Yes.
There's no same sex or bi relationships, which is interesting. I'm surprised, like especially based on all of Netflix's other reality stuff where they do cast
it's very inclusive.
Yeah, it's weird that Love is Blind
feels that way at least.
So you talk to people and they're there for I think a couple weeks. I think is how long that might take place over, or even just a week.
No idea.
It's like 1 or 2 weeks. I've heard them say.
Which is crazy.
There's like 24 people, like men and women, but the show will only end up following like 6 to 8 of them because at the end of it, some of them are going to ask the other person to
get married without seeing each other.
Yes, and then if they say yes, then it begins the phase 2 of the show.
Phase 2.
Yes, which is like the real meat of the show, where then they are going to go live together at like this apartment they give them, but then they get sent back to their real apartments, and then they have the real wedding. And like some of them won't even make it to the wedding. Some of them will make it to the wedding, and then they're up there, and it's like, are they going to say I do? They don't always. It is like they're friends and family. It is crazy. But this one guy, Tom, he's like a tech bro douchey guy named Andrew. He asked someone to marry him. She said no. And then he's doing sort of like an exit interview
in a
confessional.
No. When
they're in the pods.
Okay, they're still in the pods.
You have to ask them to marry you in the pods,
and then they send them to an apartment.
They say yes,
and they meet in person, or it's an apartment that's like split in half.
They send them to like this like room because they're basically the pods are just like a facade. They're basically in a room and there's like a wall dividing them. So they send them both upstairs or whatever, because it seems like they come out of like elevators.
Wait, they don't see each other for the first time at the wedding, right?
No, they see each other for the first time after they agree to get married. Gotcha. And then they're together for 4 weeks after that.
How insane is that?
Dude, it's so fucking nuts. So anyway, this guy gets rejected, right?
Okay, Andrew gets rejected.
And he starts his confessional. And I can't remember exactly how it goes, but he starts it and it seems like he's trying to cry. And he goes, hold on a second. And then he takes out fake tears and he puts them in his eyes. And then once he starts crying, he goes, okay. And he just starts the confessional.
He starts it over. And then he asks the producer, he goes, do you think that was okay? And the producer's something along those lines. And the producer's like, yeah. Like, I think he thought they weren't going to air.
Of course, that's what he thought.
That part, obviously. But of course, they're going to air anything that creates any kind of makes you look like a douche. All right, but here's what I will
commented on it. They said they were like, normally we wouldn't want to outright embarrass anyone, purposefully. But this was one of the craziest, most unpredictable things we've ever seen, and we felt like we needed to show this because if we were going to show, they were like, if we were going to show any part of the confessional, like we had to include
Tom.
him.
Oh my God!
Okay. Tears in his
well,
eyes.
what I'm saying is like, Tom no, I get it. I get. Okay, go ahead.
Feels like you don't. No, go ahead. You go because if you Mr. I got it. So.
The guy is in the confessional. He does the fake tears, thinking that they'll edit around and just show the part of him crying. But what you're saying is that this is abnormal behavior for this show. According to the producers, when people go in the confessionals and they're crying and they're like, "Oh, they didn't say yes," there's legitimately not a lot of
people
sad.
That are even crying. We don't see a lot of people crying after the confessional thing.
Yeah, sometimes they're like upset or they're mad, but he wanted sympathy.
Like
he wanted to get sympathy votes from people on the internet and look like a good guy. And then like the second he did his fake thing, and he was like, "All right, cool." Like he was like clearly like totally bullshit.
Okay,
it was so fucking. I mean, you've got to see it. Like,
I think I have to watch it. I think.
So here's what I will say to you. Okay, each season of Love Is Blind has gotten more and more
deranged.
Yes.
Okay.
And it has gotten to a point now where you know how cynical I am. Okay, right?
Yeah.
I'm a pretty cynical person, and I am very much like, oh fuck them. Right, these people suck, right?
Yeah.
But even this season of Love Is Blind, I was so disgusted by so many of the people. I was almost to Brit going, I don't know if I want to watch this anymore. That is how that is how bad it got.
We stopped watching.
How like, they all looked.
They all
start looking horrible. And it's just like, holy fuck. Does no one do any kind of what?
And it's not just the dudes, the women.
It's not just the dudes.
Deranged on this show.
It is usually the dudes that look horrible because they end up doing things that are crazy.
Yeah.
But the women also do not look great. And then you hear about things that are going on after the show because I don't follow anyone after the show, but Brittany follows these people after the show, like on Instagram and shit. And even more stuff goes on after the cameras are done rolling. People break up, people do this, people cheat here, people cheat there, people are fake, lied about this. It's crazy. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
For me to say, I think I don't want to watch this anymore. It's like
Tom, there's a moment where they're like, hey, we're gonna have everyone get back together. So now you're gonna see some of the people that you were in the pods talking to that you didn't get engaged to, right? So some of these people, like the couples that are all engaged, some of them were talking to each other. But like they decided like, oh, I'm not interested in that person. That's not who I want to get engaged to.
Oh, so do they mix people around?
Well,
during the
get
show,
them all together. Like you're talking to a bunch of people. Like it's like a speed dating thing.
Oh, okay. So they're swapping who they're speaking to, and then they. But then
at this point, everyone's engaged.
Right, I got you.
They get all the engaged people together for like a party, and like after the party, one of the guys says to his fiance, he's like, I thought when this girl that walked in like I wouldn't give a shit, but instead I was like, damn, like she looks so good. This is what he says to his fiance.
Oh,
it's crazy, man. It's the craziest shit I've ever seen. Which is why I'm like,
he's engaged.
This path show is
he's engaged, but then he starts hitting on this girl over here, and like literally right there,
sitting on her, being like, "Hey, you know what?
It's a lot, man.
I'm good. I'm good with the very tameness of the circle with this shit. Yeah,
the circle. But you know what's so funny about the circle? The circle has become now, like ever since I feel like the first season like kind of either like set the tone for every season after.
Yes.
Because everyone in the circle is like, welcome to the circle. Like a new guy comes, welcome to the circle, fam. We need positivity. If I were playing the circle, they take it to the limit.
This is why you got to watch the UK circle.
I could not be on the circle. I would just be like, this is all. What the fuck is going on?
Yes.
I thought we had a connection.
And those people always lose, by the way. The people that do that, Alex, always lose. Because they don't connect with the other people.
Right, they don't connect.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, oh yeah. That was
if you don't drink the Kool-Aid on the circle, you're losing.
Yeah, that is the thing with it, because like you ask the question, would you be a catfish or would you go as yourself? And I'm like, well, like a catfish, like there's a lot of risk in that, especially in the US one, because it becomes like the catfish hunt, and I was like, oh, I'd probably just go in as myself. But then I was like, no, I couldn't, because I couldn't drink the Kool-Aid. Like, I wouldn't be yo, welcome, we love you, you're our best friend now. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right. So here's my thing with the catfish, and I was telling Chris this. Actually, I was really texting both of you, but Tom wasn't answering. But basically, it was just a me and Chris chat with Tom lurking in the background.
Well, I think you.
By the way,
you did
this is a video game podcast, but this is gaming. Reality game shows are gaming.
Yeah.
Totally. So anyway, my whole thing with the catfish is, if you're gonna be a catfish, right, you have to either pick someone that you are very close to, so you already know a lot of their stories and you know a lot of the information, right? Like, I couldn't pick Brit though, because again, the makeup would get me fucked. I would not know anything.
No, I would just go in like as you.
Right, I would go in as you. Right, exactly. If I was going to be a catfish, I'd go in as one of you.
Someone similar enough to me, but then
I would go in as someone similar.
Exactly. But then what's the point, though? The whole reason with the catfish is like you come in.
But I could lie to myself that I'm not presenting myself.
No. That's not. But because that isn't the point. Because in season 2 or 3, though, Trevor's wife went in as him.
Sure.
I mean, that's really not that hard to do for her.
Yeah.
Right? That's not. I feel like it's harder for
unless they do a trivia game. Unless they do a trivia game where it's like he's super into sports, because that's the great thing about all the activities. They cover all the bases. They cover like knowledge.
The activities though are like for the dumbest people in the world. What's the first element? Like, holy fuck! And then someone's like, "Well, water, air."
No, this was amazing. No, what's the first element on the periodic table? And people are like, "Oh my god,
how did he?"
I have no idea. And then he comes out with hydrogen, and he's like, "Was that too obvious?" And I'm thinking, and the people are like, "Oh my god, he's so smart!" Like,
he can't be a personal trainer, dude. That moment in the season blew my mind, because it was an inception of like idiocy, because it's like it's this guy who is supposedly I'm almost convinced that he is lying, that he is a chemical engineer, because this is the dumbest motherfucker that I've ever seen on this show. He comes in, he says he's a chemical engineer, he says that he's a catfish.
He's just young.
And that, he's just young, and also he's not, he's like kind of fresh off the boat Nigerian, so he probably has a lot of like social norms that are very different to what he might be experienced in.
Like woman, like girl number 1 and girl number 2 and girl number 3.
My favorite thing is when it's like,
well,
my favorite thing
is
he's clearly been caught. My favorite thing is he's clearly been caught. They do the savage questions, and both Tamira and Raven have both sent anonymous questions, but the questions are like, "Are you just playing the women?" Because he's called both of them as queen at this point, and he's like, "Are you just playing the women?" So at this point, you'd think that this guy understood that these two women have talked to each other, like they've shared the information. And after the savage question, he's like, "Oh man, what have I done?" Like he's when he's on the lowest in the ranking, he doesn't understand it. He's like,
he doesn't.
"I don't know what's going on. How could this happen?" Bro,
it is.
How have you not put 2 and 2 together?
Right.
Somehow you knew that hydrogen was the first element.
Right.
Oh man,
it's amazing. Let's talk a little bit about games. So, Tom, have you touched Piku Niku?
No, my intention. I haven't. My intention was to do it after work today, but work got very complicated.
No, that's fine. We'll save Game Club discussion for next week, because we do it every 2 weeks anyway. So we'll save it for next week. Yeah. Alex and I will talk about it next week. We'll just do that then. Did you play anything else, Alex, this week?
I did not. Actually, I'll tell you what I have been getting into, though. I wouldn't call it a video game, but it is a video game. It's on my phone. I have been getting back into chess. Good old-fashioned chess.
Yeah.
And the reason I got back into chess was because I stumbled upon a YouTube video late night by Gotham Chess.
Okay.
Levi Rosman. He's an international master, not a grandmaster, but he has one of the biggest,
international man of mystery.
Yeah, he's got one of, if not the biggest chess YouTube channels on YouTube. And I find his videos very informative, funny. His personality is fucking awesome. I'm all in. So I started like studying kind of like chess openings now. Because he was like, you're not going to get better if you don't know the openings. Like, you're just not. Well, he didn't say this to me. He said it in a video, but it felt like he was talking to me. But so I started studying the chess openings, and I've been trying to get my ELO rating up on the chess.com app. I'm still below 1,000. I would like to get higher than 1,000. So that's my goal, is to get higher than a rating of 1,000. For perspective, Magnus Carlsen, the highest ranked chess player in the world, is 2,800 plus. So that's a crazy rating, and I'll never be there, obviously.
Does that scale for the anal plugs that he's got going on?
Yeah. So that was
I'm
Hans.
so lost right now.
You don't know this, Tom?
That was Hans. They thought he was cheating.
Oh, that was Hans. That wasn't Magnus?
No, Magnus would.
Okay.
No.
Sorry. I just feel like Tom is so online. The idea that he hasn't heard about this.
I've heard about I've heard about someone in chess cheating recently or something like that. But yeah. Anyway.
Well, what did Hans do, Alex?
Hans allegedly, was using anal beads and their vibrations to, whatever anal bead vibration sequencing would be able to tell him what piece he should move and where.
What are
there
was obviously about?
Supposedly, he put some kind of like vibrating butt plug into up his ass. Right. And it could be controlled wirelessly. And they would use the vibrations to tell him. So someone on the other end would be using like a chess app that gives you like the best move to win, to tell him like which piece to move where, which would be like, it would just have to be a rudimentary, like either seconds or like who knows. But like chess breaks down to letters and numbers, right? Like E6 to so it would just have to be as simple as that. That is the claim that this man who is like came out of nowhere.
I didn't understand that it was being remote controlled. I thought he was just feeling the vibe.
So then
he was like, they're telling me to go.
No. So the big drama was that happened, and then Magnus Carlsen and him and Hans
not a bad idea, actually.
Played a match. Magnus retired after one move. And then Hans sued Magnus Carlsen, chess.com, the chess, I forget what the name of the FIDE it's called, and Hikaru Nakamura, like, in court because they slandered him. And I think you'd have to admit in slander that it was true. Anyway, point being,
I thought if it's slander, that it's a lie.
Then it's libel. I gotta go back and check.
Well, slander is
law notes.
Slander is when someone lies, right?
No, is it slander or
libel is print? Come on, did Spider-Man 2 not teach you?
I know.
In print,
libel is the defamatory statement that is written. Slander is a defamatory statement that is oral. So it was oral.
Well, it was anal.
Oh, it was.
Or it was anal. Yes.
I did a Lego set this week.
Oh yeah, Chris has been building some Lego.
I got this as a gift for Christmas.
Oh, it looks so good. Look at that. That
is
amazing.
It was it's really cool. I'll say it was the little snake fell out. It was one of the more like, it was a little bit annoying to put together because of all these individual pieces. And like there were a ton of individual pieces below all of these, like to give it like you can see the different colors. I love the little ship though, like the little X-wing kind of sticking out of it. Kind of like I have the Iron Man artwork. Like that was like, it looks cool, but it was like not one of the more fun ones put together. But I do really like how it looks. It's like
that's awesome. I love that.
Tom and I played some Halo Infinite. Actually, Alex played some. We did Halo Infinite.
Over the weekend as well, right?
Over the weekend, Alex played some Halo Infinite. We did more Forge customs I think we'll keep doing more of them. I've got a bunch more, Tom. I found one that I haven't tried it yet, so I can't speak for how well it works. But you're able to like fuck with the cameras. Like you can do a lot of really crazy stuff in Forge. Okay. So like for instance, there are maps that people have made where when you get into the vehicles, like you're in first person with them and like you're doing like tank fights and shit in first person, like from the vehicle. So you basically just see like the cannon and a little bit at the front of the vehicle. So that's pretty cool. But someone, it seems to have made a 2D version of Halo. From what I can tell, it seems like they did the invisible walls on two sides and then made just like a hallway style level. And they've been remaking Super Smash Brothers levels. So I can't tell if it works. I haven't tried it yet. But I'm very interested to see because it seems like the game type they made, everyone would be watching. Like you'd have to move Master Chief left and right and shoot at the. It sounds crazy. Like I'm very excited to see how well or if it works at all. But there's some cool shit. We played Matrix level last night, Alex. That was fucking phenomenal.
It was so good.
Yes.
Yeah, we unfortunately last night's gameplay was front loaded with amazing maps, and like I feel like the last hour we were just hitting duds. Well, they ranged from duds to like yeah. Some of them were massive. The Matrix one was so cool because it was a mishmash. Because I thought that it was just gonna be the bank. The lobby. Yeah. of the building from the first film, right? Anyway, I thought it was just going to be the lobby from the building, but it's a mishmash of everything. It's the helicopter scene from there.
I mean, it's the whole building. It's the lobby plus it's like they got the room upstairs where fucking they have Morpheus tied down, but the wall's blown out from where the helicopter is, like across from it, like.
And then they've got a bit where it's like the bullet time sequence from the first film, and if you step into that, it like you go into bullet time.
Yep,
which is crazy. Yeah, and they have the where he fights all the Agent Smiths in part 2 as well, like built in. And if you fight, there's a teleporter that sends you to the end scene where he stops the bullets and everything's like kind of like glowy green, like you're seeing the Matrix.
Yeah, the whole map is green.
It was so cool.
It's pretty dope.
It worked as like a good like map as well.
It was very cool. I think what we got to do the next time, Tom, and I realized this was the problem because we're playing with an open lobby, partially because like the settings reset a lot. Because again, this is they put it out early. This wasn't actually originally going to come out until season 3 when it was like finished, and they were like, actually, people just need more shit to do, so we'll put it out, bugs and all. We got to turn on teams next time, I think, because the problem is when we're playing like 16, 20 people, it's like you can't walk more than like, 10 seconds before someone's fucking shooting at you. Like you're into, you can't even get your bearings, especially when it's like new maps. So I think next time we'll do teams, but if you're looking to play some Halo customs, keep an eye on the Discord because we're going to do that a little bit more. Dan has re-downloaded Infinite. So I mean, that is
he has that is saying something.
Just to go back to the slander libel thing.
Okay.
So what I was trying to say, because for whatever reason I flub my words and fuck up speaking,
this is why was
right, which was that the truth of the statement is an absolute defense to libel or slander. Meaning, if you're saying, if Hans is like, they slandered me by saying I had anal beads. If Magnus says, but you did, and I can prove it, then it's not slander.
But did he prove it?
I don't know if he has to. He has to prove that he didn't.
Wait,
how do you prove that you didn't?
I thought the whole point is that you have to prove that you.
Well, how do you prove that it's false? How the fuck do we know?
No, but isn't like most things, Alex, with claims, you have to prove that it's true, not that it's false. It's innocent for guilty. We don't assume.
Yeah, but no, that's in a criminal case. This is civil.
Okay.
So wait, what? Wait,
what?
Okay.
What?
Well, I'm just confused now.
Hans is saying,
yeah,
you made a defamatory statement against me.
Yeah.
About the anal beads.
Yeah.
Magnus can say, well, you did have anal beads in your ass. Honestly, I don't know where
the. And then the judge is like, well, he says that you did, so you.
Well, that's the problem. That's why Hans can't win because it's like that's why these cases are so hard to fucking win in general. It's a really hard. You have to prove that it was false. I don't know how the fuck you're going to prove that.
Yeah.
You have to prove that it was false.
He's got to prove that it was false.
There was no.
And if Magnus can all of a sudden show that it was true, it's over.
Well, of course.
Magnus,
and Magnus
is like, I got a guy. He was operating him.
Yeah, he was like, it was my guy behind the wheel.
I put the anal beads in.
Yeah, it was me. It was me. I had control of it. I was doing it under the table.
Right.
Wait.
What?
I've just learned something again, another fucked up layer of the criminal. Well, it's not a criminal suit, but so literally, if I said Tuna when we're at the movies slapped the guy in the chair because he was sitting too far forward, right?
I'm so battery.
Sure. Oh, okay. That would be a criminal case.
And that's assault.
Right. But if I told everyone that before this podcast, you put a chalupa up your ass every time, you'd have to prove now that that's not true.
Well, no, you'd have to prove that it is true. You'd have to prove that it's true. If you want
you just said Magnus. No, I'm
sorry.
Tom
I would have to prove.
Yeah.
Right. If I wanted to win a slander case against you.
Right.
Right. And you told a third party who is Tom, right? He's the third party who's been told. Then I have to prove that that's false. I don't know how I do that. I mean, I could say that in my normal course of business and my normal day-to-day life, and Brittany, who lives with me, has never seen me stuff any chalupas up my butt. But, it'd be very hard to prove. It's still a very hard proof. Or if Chris all of a sudden gets Brittany in here saying, fucking does, then I'm shit out of luck.
You'd be like, well, I don't know if he does, but he's always hungry, and I'm finding chalupa wrappers constantly. So if I don't know where they're going. He's certainly not eating.
Chalupa is up the butt. Then my defense is. Then I'm done. Then my case is thrown out.
Jesus Christ. Oh man. A little bit more game talk, real quick. I want to do. Sound good?
Sure.
Yeah.
One Piece Odyssey. Cool game. I'm not super far into it. I'm still in Alabasta. I've only put a couple hours into the game. But it's fun. It's a really fun game. Well, more than a couple hours, but not as much time. I was kind of like, when I first downloaded it, I was expecting to come in here and be like, I beat it.
Who?
Probably
Tom?
No, me. Probably another week before I do that. I'm going to try and beat it because Fire Emblem's coming out, and I want to play that, so I'm going to try and beat it. But it's really good.
Is Fire Emblem out tomorrow?
I have never played one game for 1 minute.
I've never played a video game
of Fire Emblem.
It's a good game. It's tactical. You'd like it. It's strategy tactical.
You probably like this new one because it's all about the gameplay and not about the story.
Fire Emblem has a very similar game mechanics to Advance Wars in a number of ways.
Right.
So you would like that level of it. I'm curious, Tom, because you've been playing One Piece, and I know you're starting the manga.
Yes.
I'm just a little confused on like what this is like as an entry point for people watching that, like for the show, because it's really going to spoil you on like certain major aspects of the story, and then reading them or watching the show, I feel like it's going to lose a lot of tension because you're like, oh, well, I know all of these people are alive. I know these people are going to join the pirate crew. Like, I'm kind of curious about that because you're going through that yourself.
Yeah, obviously I know like all the people that joined the crew, but like for example, I'm
not necessarily all of them, right?
Well, I know the people that are in the game who have joined the crew.
Sure. Okay. Yes.
Have joined the crew. Like for example, Zoro.
Yeah.
Which is spelt Zolo in the manga, in the English adaptation of the manga that I'm reading.
Yeah, I think that was because of like a copyright concern for Zoro in the US, apparently.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
That's what Matt told me anyway.
That makes sense. He joins. I know that he's the first person that Luffy gets to join his crew. So I knew obviously that and then Nami went out into onto Nami, but what's interesting is like, when he meets Zolo, he's the sword master that, I nothing in the game gave me any kind of context of like what Zolo was before he joined Luffy's crew, how they met and everything. So I'm actually, I'm still in the Romance Dawn arc, I guess. I'm at the very tail end of it. And we've met Nami, who is now like I wonder if this. It seems like it's going to be a constant thing where everyone in Luffy's crew initially like it doesn't want to join, but then they get roped into it, and they're eventually like, "Fine, like I'll join."
I mean, most
That's
people
been a lot
aren't
of fun.
standing around looking for pirate crews to join.
Sure, sure. But they actively like Nami like actively hates pirates, and it's funny because in One Piece Odyssey, like Lim, the new character that you meet, is like someone who like actively hates pirates.
It's not a spoiler, by the way. Luffy is very different from a lot of pirates,
right?
And his crew.
Well, because like he doesn't at first. He's like in a rowboat, just like, oh, I'm just gonna see where the current takes me, basically. Yeah, it's interesting because it's this thing where I've had it both ways, where the game was like, okay, this is giving me a little taste of the world, a taste of these characters. I'm into it. I like that they all have different powers and abilities. You know, I'm as a superhero fan, I'm a sucker for that,
sure.
right?
Yep.
But then also like it just gives you, I feel like, a lot of the surface level of it, where there's a lot under the surface that the game is just not explaining to you. Like in Alabasta, you know, where you're at, he meets a guy called Ace.
Yes.
Who like is his brother.
Ooh,
and he seems yeah. And they seem to be like he seems to be like upset, and it seems to be in a way where it's like something happened to Ace that he doesn't like, so that, but like I don't know what this character,
so
I don't know.
This is sort of like what I was wondering, because I'm playing it and I'm noticing like a lot of the story beats, they feel more like references, and I'm like, oh, I understand why this is like really cool what's happening when I'm seeing on screen. I don't know what this means for people that like this is their first time with One Piece.
Well,
because you're kind of missing out on a lot of context.
I think they do. Personally, I think they've done a great job of like in Alabasta. It's like there was a gang that was pretended, that is like trying to basically like is the puppet master of the politics. They're moving like medicine around and like food around and resources under the guise of like the government, but it's really like this like mercenary crew or these bandits. And so I have that context, but the cool thing is like the gang also knows that information before they're meant to have known it, because it's in their memory,
right? Exactly.
So obviously like the story is going in a different direction there. So I feel like it's been a great balance to me, where it's like they give enough context to understand what originally was happening, but also like there's not enough given where I feel like, oh, I completely understood what is happening in the past, that like by the time I get to it in the manga or anything, I'm going to be ruined. And the game also like only does like, I think 3 or 4 of the major arcs. So there's like a lot of story that it doesn't kind of cover.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Alabasta is a really big arc. It introduces sort of like probably one of the most important things in the show. Which, speaking of, I did look up One Piece. They do have a lot of stuff in English. Also, by the way, if you're thinking like I'll watch the whole show through One Piece, it's not complete. Like some arcs are still like not. But if you want a much faster way of watching the show, it is good. I sent Alex a couple arcs through One Piece so that he could, when he has time,
dip his toes.
Catch up. Yeah, he can catch up because he's Alex is like 5 arcs deep actually into the show, but there are quite a few. So.
Oh, you've been watching Tuna?
He started it a while ago.
Yeah, I started it months ago.
Yeah.
But I have not been able to make.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, you made it like 60 episodes.
yeah, I did. But there's 1,000, it's, you know.
That's a drop in the bucket.
That's a drop, not even 10%.
Yeah. Honestly, where the anime is right now in the arc, Alex, by the time you catch up, which let's say it's like a year, it's going to be like at like the coolest fucking shit. So like your timing is going to end up being good, assuming it takes you about a year to get there, which One Piece will help.
One Piece.
I think we should do some news because it's ready.
Hit it.
Fire Emblem's out tomorrow. You get it. I might. I gotta beat One Piece first though. Tom, beside Ubisoft canceling some games and what else has been happening?
It's been a relatively light week. There was a leak from the Suicide Squad video game that showed off a battle pass, and it looks like it is going to be a live service game, which is crazy to think about because they have avoided saying that, and we're 4 months out supposedly from this game launching. They've been very mysterious. We haven't seen a lot of gameplay or understanding how the game works. I think they were trying to lean into the fact that it was going to be. They were trying to make it be like, oh, it's just multiplayer enabled. Like you can have a friend jump in and play as one of the other Suicide Squad members. But the Battle Pass seems to show off the fact that the game will have currencies to unlock cosmetics, and people are obviously very hesitant for two factors. One, we had the Avengers video game, which was exactly that and crashed and burned. And then we also had Gotham Knights, which was also like kind of like a live service game as well, and like crashed and burned last year. And I think that people are just like very concerned regarding this because it's their first game since Arkham Knight. It's going to be 8 years since that game came out. And, people are really hoping for this to be like, a feather in the cap of Rocksteady. And I think people are very concerned that it's all the live services are going to get in the way of what could have been a fun game. I'm personally kind of like a wait and see, but I think the fact that they haven't unveiled very much about this game and we're 4 months out, it kind of speaks.
You could say volumes. That about Zelda too.
I guess, but we know that Zelda isn't going to have like microtransactions, sure. And we know Zelda is to an extent a known quantity.
Do we think that's coming on time?
Zelda?
You think it's coming on time?
Yeah.
No delay?
I think
wow.
We talked about the OLED Switch coming into the wild. I mean, unless there's a catastrophic thing at last minute, but if they've manufactured and this OLED Switch,
it just feels like we know very little about the game. We've seen, I don't think, any real like gameplay. Like not really. We've only seen a snippet in like a trailer. So it just feels weird for something that's supposed to be, because even with Breath of the Wild, we knew so much more about that game. We saw so much about that game.
Yeah, I remember that E3 because it was when I was.
This game sucks.
I don't think it's gonna suck.
That would be, the odds of that feel very low to me just based on the Zelda track record. Like, what's the worst case scenario? Skyward Sword. Even that game, like being like one of the weakest Zeldas, I still really liked it while I was playing it at the time.
I think that this game's biggest sin, if it turns out to be true, will just be like, it's not different enough from Breath of the Wild, which is fine because it's Breath of the Wild, like the greatest game ever made.
Right. So they'd have to really fuck it up.
They'd have to really fuck it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that this game is going to be every time that. Yeah, I think this game's going to be fine. But no, I still think it's coming out. I think that they probably are just like, we don't need to spend a ton of time marketing this game. Like it's gonna do gangbusters. Like Breath of the Wild was such a, in a lot of ways was a game that you had to kind of wrap your head around. Very different from any Zelda game before it, for the most part. I remember that E3 where they did the treehouse.
Yep.
Because I was writing at Game Zone. It was like my first like writing gig, and we were breaking off into blocks of like, okay, you so and so cover this game, so and so cover this game, and I wrote 12 pages for Breath of the Wild because the Nintendo Treehouse just kept going. They basically just played the game for forever, and it was unveiling.
They were showing
so
us
much
everything.
Stuff.
Like, here's how like our systems work. Like, you can knock this tree down, roll the log down the hill to kill these guys, but also you could just like take out the platforms they're on, or they're like, we're gonna give you 30 ways to kill these same fucking bokoblins over here.
It would honestly be super sick if they just dropped it and like when no one knew anything, like we just all like jumped into it
right now.
Do we have to know? I mean, look, if the game is if Zelda is what it is,
yeah,
right, People are going to buy it anyway, whether a trailer comes out or what.
You believe that, but I think marketing says otherwise, because like even Marvel stuff still gets marketed to death. And if you are a Marvel person at this point, which it's like it couldn't be bigger, like it couldn't be a bigger part of the fucking zeitgeist, like, and they still have to market those things to death to make sure people have butts in seats. So like I just don't know if that's true, which is why I'm starting to be like, are we getting Zelda?
No, it's definitely a thing. Like you just need to remind people that things, especially with the quantity of things coming out now, you need to remind people that like something is coming out. Like, it's not as big as Zelda, obviously, but like there was a Witcher prequel show that came out over the holiday break that I had no idea was coming out, and it is my fucking job to know that there is a Witcher prequel show coming out, and it just dropped on Netflix, and I was like, holy fuck, I had no idea. So I think it's not so much about like needing to sell people on a product, and it's more about like reminding people like May whatever Zelda is coming out.
Yeah,
but they could do it in a reserved way where it is just like showing more like the kind of snippets of gameplay trailers rather than yeah, we'll see. I don't mind games. We're hearing a lot from, like, for example, I think this actually may be tied into news this week, but Neil Druckmann in interviews with The Last of Us, which we've all seen the first episode of that now, and I think we all liked it, all agreed that it's a good adaptation.
Oh, yeah. I can't believe we talk about that. It was great. I loved it.
It's fantastic. It's great.
Therese loved it, too. Therese was like,
Brittany liked it.
Amazing.
Dude, we were at dinner tonight, and
I didn't tell her about I watched the playthrough of this years ago. I'm like, Olivia Dunham, because that's just what we call her. Tess. I'm like, Therese loves her. She's not long for this one.
No, she's not long for this one. I thought you were going to say you weren't going to tell him about his daughter.
Like I wanted to tell her
about a daughter.
Yeah, no, I also wanted to tell her that. She was like, at the beginning of the show, she's like, "Oh, she's gonna die, isn't she?" And I was like, "No."
Yeah, it's one of the. But this show is one of those things, when you're in the gaming bubble, you're like, "Well, this is one of the biggest video games of all time." Who possibly doesn't know this story? I was we were at dinner, and at the very end of the episode, there's this great bit, which is a great addition, where we've learned that an 80s song over the radio means trouble, and it cuts to Joel's empty apartment and the radio kicks on and it's an 80s song. That song came on at the place we were eating dinner tonight.
Oh, fun.
And in like the background, and like this, there was like a group of like women in like their 50s like having dinner, and one of them was like, "Oh, this song was in this Last of Us show that like I saw the first episode of this weekend," and I was like, shit, like it really is that thing of like this show is going to open this show is going to be huge, I think, for video games. Apparently, like the game itself is like sold out physically everywhere. Like you can't buy a physical copy of The Last of Us Part 1, the PS5 updated version. You can't buy anywhere, or at least the other day you couldn't. Yeah, but Neil Druckmann in an interview was basically saying something to the effect of, he's like, the next game that comes from us, like you're going to hear about it in a very short window. And I think the gaming industry is moving more toward keeping your cards close to your chest, because I think I
think we all prefer that. So
yeah, 100p.
Don't tell me about a game 4 years before it comes out.
No,
unless you're going to be like, hey, we're going to start working on this. That's all we're going to tell you for a long time, because we don't want you asking us what the hell we're doing for the next 4 years. Like,
because
that's also fine.
A lot of this, when you hear from like devs, they speak about it and they're like, well, a lot of the reason why they do that, where it's like an early thing, is they're hiring. They want to get people, like, we're making a Star Wars game.
Sure.
Like we need, and we want people to, it makes it easier to recruit people in a lot of ways. But there is a way to do it where it is doing it for that purpose and not like a hype machine. And I think that companies are going to play it safer, which is definitely the way to go. And then I guess the only other like major news, and it's like industry news, but Microsoft had some layoffs. Seems like a lot of people from the Halo team supposedly have left. I know that I shared that Joe Stanton, who was kind of brought on not last minute, but towards the tail end of Halo's development before its launch, he was one of the OG Bungie people who had kind of when Bungie said goodbye to Halo, he went to work at like Xbox, like in publishing, and then he came down to Halo. He has gone back to publishing, but it just seems like it kind of like timed up well, where from everything that I've read, the idea was like he was just kind of trying to get them over the finish line rather than like returning to it in like a full time. I'm going to lead this game through its development. But yes, there's been some high profile people leaving there. So
it seems like it's majority the campaign people and people that were involved with stuff like that, and not necessarily a lot of the multiplayer people. But also those teams already got gutted because of the hiring freeze and the contractors and other. It's not great. It's not ideal.
Not ideal.
Let's do some mail real quick. Email at unrankedpodcast.com or call in to 805-738-8692, 805-738-8692, or go to questions for the pod. Link is in the Discord for that. Makilla Gorilla writes, looking for some advice. Hey, Unranked crew, it's Felix, aka Makilla Gorilla. I figured I'd hop on here and ask you guys for some advice. I'm a console player and I have been my whole life, still am, but want something portable that I can take on trips or on vacation. I also want to play a PC game that you can't get on console. I've been looking around at gaming laptops, but looking for some advice on if I should get a Steam Deck instead. I was looking for some advice if a Steam Deck is better option or a gaming laptop, and which I would get a better gaming experience on. Don't know if anyone has an idea of what I should do or a better option. Looking at the $700 Steam Deck or gaming laptop in the same price range, was hoping someone could lead me in that direction. I appreciate the reply, and as always, suck it. I mean, my initial response here is mostly out of like, I don't really like telling people what to do with their money. So
no, either do I, and I would defer to Tom since I know and you because I know shit about PC.
Yeah. So if you're going to spend $700, I know you're going to get more bang for your buck out of a gaming laptop. Like you will just be able to get better hardware than what is in a Steam Deck. As for which gives you a better experience, the Steam Deck might give you a more fun experience if you've always been a console player like me. I mean, I have a PC and I ultimately just don't play games on it that much, which I thought I would. It's just because I'm not trained to play games on a PC. I'm trained to play them sitting on like a portable device or in front of a TV on a couch. And I just don't enjoy being at my desk playing on the computer. As stupid as that sounds, that's just...
No, I wouldn't want to do it. I'm good with sitting on the couch, playing on my Switch or playing console with the TV in front of me.
And so I bought a Steam Deck, even though I don't need it, right? Like I can play those games, but I've played them way more on my Steam Deck than I ever did on my PC. However, there are some games that aren't going to run on the Steam Deck because it is not a x86 computer. So there are like ways around that with certain things. You can install Windows, then your performance is worse. But it's like, I don't know. That's Tom. What do you think? What would you add to this?
No, I think you're right on the money. I think that I think especially if you are looking at something in that price range, you like. The games that you can play on Steam Deck are going to run better on Steam Deck than a computer at the $700 price range. I would say if you could spend $1,500 or more and get a laptop, then you're going to have a bit more versatility, right? You can play pretty much any game that you want. You're obviously going to be able to play it at higher resolutions and things like that. But if you are looking at that range, absolutely go with the Steam Deck. The shortcomings of it are not you'd be surprised at how kind of diverse the product is. And also, especially because you're coming from like a console space, it's a really good device to let you know whether PC gaming is going to be good for you, because you can have the ability to get deep into the weeds of PC gaming, or you can play it just like a console. It has a home screen, it has like a library. It's all cleanly done. You're just easily jumping into games. And it can open you up like, oh, I want to jump into emulation. Like there's a lot of versatility there. And if you want to, if you're like, cool, I'm all sold, I'm in the PC gaming space now, then you can get a computer later down the line, and all those games you've bought for the Steam Deck will be playable there as well. So it's I think using that as a potential leaping off point, and I would say, if you were going to a laptop, maybe wouldn't even be the best way to jump into PC gaming. Like,
no,
it
but
would be like a desktop
I do think you could probably get more performance out of a laptop at $700.
Oh,
For the games.
Yeah, but again, it's that thing of like, well, the laptop screen is going to be at 1080p at minimum, right?
Sure.
So that it's already demanding more, really. The great thing about the Steam Deck is like you're playing games at like 720, 800p, but the screen size is much smaller than like a 13, 15-inch laptop. So I think overall, and even though it's running through Linux, even though it's running through basically like an emulator, the way that they're building games specifically with Steam Deck in mind now, whereas like laptops they're just like generically like putting out like, presets for like low, high and stuff like that. So I just think you're going to have a smoother experience, especially not having any prior history with PC gaming. So I think the Steam Deck really is the best option.
There we go. We got another question. It's from Narcus. He said, I can't find the question for the pods in the side channel on the Discord. But with the news, there's going to be a live action God of War. Who would you cast as Kratos? People said Dave Bautista I don't see Dave Bautista as, he's not that tall.
Like The Rock.
No, God, no. Honestly, the dude that's
Pedro
playing Master
Pascal,
Chief,
baby.
The dude that's playing Master Chief actually would be physically, I think, closer to Kratos than a lot of the people that you would think of, like The Rock or Dave Bautista, because he needs to be tall. Like God of War, like Kratos, he's a big dude. He's not just muscular. You could do The Rock, but The Rock, man, fuck The Rock. I'm tired of The Rock, man. Isn't everybody tired of The Rock?
You know who probably would have been good? Who was the guy who played John Coffey in The Green Mile?
I have no idea. You need Dan for this question. You can go check IMDb. I don't know. I can't think of anyone.
I think
else.
He died.
Momoa would probably be a good one.
Yeah, Momoa's not bad.
We did a fandom did one. What was that? They did like a fan casting. I mean, I think if you get the voice actor from the game, he's big.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could get him buff. I don't necessarily need to have him be like all ripped and shredded though.
You don't need Kratos to be ripped and shredded.
You
don't need the God of War to be ripped and shredded.
Well, the cool thing about it in all of these games is, like, for example, like Boulder is this. Oh, the guy he's from Lost. He eventually shows up in Lost. The guy who plays Boulder in the first game. He's skinny as hell.
Who's he on Lost?
He plays one of the people that ends up coming later and works for Penny's dad.
Oh,
Faraday.
Faraday. Oh,
Faraday plays Boulder in the first God of War.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want them to be the actual. This is live action. This isn't CG. This isn't voice acting.
I know, but what I'm saying is like, I didn't need. He's a very skinny character in the game. His strength is portrayed very well.
Sure.
What I'm saying is like, I think that the performance that the voice actor gives is like really good, and if we could just like do that, I don't necessarily need him to be like fucking buff as hell. Let's see.
What the fuck are you talking? I'm in complete disagreement with what you're saying here.
I want him to be a huge fucking dude.
Yeah. Just get Schwarzenegger.
What?
And be done with it.
How about John Bernthal?
Who?
John Bernthal.
Yo, Bernthal would be fucking good.
He plays you've never seen Punisher. Did you ever watch any of The Walking Dead?
Yes, I know who he is.
Okay. That guy.
Yeah, he's good. I like him.
He's pretty good, dude.
I tell you what, based on a lot of if we are just going the muscle route, Jonathan Majors, let's get him. Let's get him in a long beard.
The guy who played Odin in Ragnarok would be just great.
Yeah, get
Odin.
him. Get Richard.
Just get him.
Get Richard Schiff in there, baby.
Yeah,
as
just
Odin.
get him.
Great.
Just get
There
him.
it is.
Go get him. Bring him in. He's Odin. That's it.
Boom.
Done.
Okay, Alex, you have a complaint?
No.
Okay. I wanted to get
that guy in the disabled seating.
Yeah, well, we already did that.
I didn't build a music cue for it, but I have a new segment. I don't have a game this week, but I do have a new segment. I'm calling it I've Got the Power. Because I recently bought Nintendo Powers off of eBay because I was like, you know what? I kind of miss having these things. It is so cool to look through them. Okay. Do you have any still at home, you think, Alex? Or you think those all got tossed?
They're gone.
They're gone. They're done. So they are very cool. So looking through it, I ended up with some really good ones, by the way, from eBay. I've got the fucking Zelda Majora's Mask. I've got ones where like they announced the GameCube in it and shit like that. So like I ended up like randomly getting some like really solid editions of fucking Nintendo Power.
Real quick before we get on the Nintendo Power thing, I found the thing that I wanted to show. Fandom did a fan casting where people voted on who they think God of War should be played by, Kratos. And they photoshopped them. So at number 5, we have Dave Bautista.
Looks nothing like Dave Bautista.
Yeah.
That is Dave Bautista. It's photoshopped into, that is a picture of Dave Bautista.
Heavily edited. Looks
heavily edited
like
to look like Kratos. Here we go. Tom Hardy as Kratos.
Oh, Tom Hardy's pretty good too, actually, for that.
Tom Hardy could be good. Number 3, we have Jason Momoa.
Sure.
There you go.
Yeah.
By the way, the little bar, the island, it made him look like he had a little hat when you just showed.
Oh, the dynamic island. Number 2, the fan casting gave it to Christopher Judge, who voices Kratos. And then number 1,
Chris Hemsworth,
Triple H.
Oh, Triple H,
everyone's favorite wrestler, Triple H. Jesus. See, you're sick of The Rock, but Triple H hasn't been doing anything in a while.
It's gonna be The Rock.
It's not gonna be The Rock.
It's going to be The Rock, baby.
I don't think it's gonna be The Rock.
Nintendo Power.
Nintendo Power. You got Nintendo Power. You have a game with Nintendo Power or something like this.
I don't know. I've got some cool Nintendo Powers here. I wasn't really sure what to do with it, to be honest. Got a new segment here. What was the idea that we were going to do here? We had some questions. Oh, right. Well, because I talked to you. I said I was like, I could bring this up in the pod, and then it was like listener mail, except it was Nintendo Power mail because Nintendo Power had a write-in section. So I just thought we'd take a look at some of these things. I actually sent you guys I believe like a snippet of one of them because I was like, whoa, look at this Nintendo Power reveal. Oh my God. Legend. The fucking artwork in these things is so good, dude. Like, it's kind of amazing. It's like these things, it's unbelievable that we don't have anything like this anymore. And I get why we don't, but they're really fucking cool. And I kind of wish stuff like this still existed. All right. So this is written in by Liz Plan to the Nintendo Power editorial team. Said, I was playing Zelda Ocarina of Time and I was talking to an adult Malin at Lon Lon Ranch. I looked at her in first person view and noticed she was wearing a brooch. It was Bowser. Why would you put Bowser in a Zelda?
Oh, shit.
Wearing a what?
A brooch?
Oh, I thought you said brooch.
I did because
he did.
It's a little bit, I'll be honest, it's a little hard to read because they have the text layered over an image. So I was like, what the fuck? So yeah, why? Well, this came in via the internet. So this is
via email.
Wow, which is actually crazy because I mean this is the Army Men Sarge's Heroes
hell edition.
Yeah. So this is very old. I'm surprised they actually had questions coming in from the internet already. Frankly, we didn't believe you until we headed to Lon Lon Ranch and checked it out for ourselves. And wouldn't you know it? You're right. There are 2 possibilities. The first of which is that Mr. Miyamoto enjoyed shuffling little bits of his creations together, as evidenced by the pictures you can see inside Hyrule Castle from the courtyard, which, if you remember, there are Mario
Yoshi.
Yep.
Yeah.
The other possibility is that Bowser has fallen on some hard times since his last defeat and is trying to make ends meet by selling trinkets in his own image. Even supervillains have to put bread on the table, you know.
Mario, Hyrule, Mushroom Kingdom, same universe, confirmed.
Boom. And there it is. I just think canonically we're getting a lot of new information out of Nintendo Power 20 years old. So I think we're gonna dive back into this every now and then. I'll find some good ones for the future. I forgot there was like a really good one about Cheek, but now I can't. I don't remember what edition that was from. I actually read through them. And one last thing I just want to point out, which is I think fucking so cool in these. Which edition is this? 137. That's 2. Here we go. So in this one, I forgot they used to do this. They would put full episodes of the Pokemon anime and they would turn them into comics. Like it's a multi-page comic. They would take screens and they would do the text and you could read the episodes. Like it's
pretty cool.
And it's really cool. I ended up with the SSN one. I have the Island of Giant Pokemon. I have like the
Island of the Giant Pokemon. Yeah,
Classics. I have the one with Lieutenant Surge where Ash considers fucking evolving Pikachu and lets Pikachu decide. Like,
dude,
I have that as a comic.
What a fucking moment in time that was.
Like I try to avoid collecting things, which like. You know, I have like a collection of Legos, but I'm not like, oh, I need all of the, you know, like I don't need all of the, I'm just going to buy some.
I don't need all of the Legos.
Yeah, like I'm not going to get every edition Nintendo Power, but I have like 20. And it's pretty fun. I like just sat through and read through one the other day, and there's a lot of cool stuff. So, you know, check it out. I think that is the end of today's show because I had a lot going on. Didn't have time to build today's game. And Dan's making one for next week by request. So until then, Tom, remind everybody about our Spartan program.
Yeah, come join the Spartan program. It's our Discord subscription program that has replaced Patreon. So you can go in there. It's $5 a month. If you want to join us on a podcast episode, you can pay $100 one time and we'll do a podcast episode with you. Basically gets you the show live. It gets you all of the post-show content, which we're about to jump into, talk more about some more Lost. And that's it. Do it.
Stay unranked, everybody.
See